Okay, so do you see my screen now? Yes.
Yep.
Perfect. Welcome to the joint webinar with our world business partner SITA about their baggage IT insight report. In today's webinar, we have the pleasure to count with our speaker, Carlos Caduoca, Head of Strategy and Business Transformation Americas at SITA. Before we start, we like to share with you that as usual, we have simultaneous interpretation. You will select Spanish or English in the Zoom menu. Besides, if you don't want to hear the original audio, please click on mute original audio. As you can recall from other webinars, the chat function is disabled. And in case you want to ask any questions to our speaker, you have to send it to the email address that you find on the screen, info@aci-lac.io. The Q&A session will take place at the end of the presentation. So now I would like to give the floor to Carlos Caduoca.
Thank you, Carla. Thank you, ACI Latin America. Thank you all for participating. Good morning, good afternoon. So if we could move to the next slide so that we can start the baggage insights. This is a picture that really represents a traveler's nightmare. The airplane going and your bags left behind. So this is really what a traveler's nightmare is all about. Your baggage not making, and then it's really frustrating from a traveler's perspective. And if we see on the next slide, some of the interactions, and today is what is happening is our customers are more vocal. They're using social media to tell how dissatisfied they are with the services. And baggage, it's a very emotional subject. We get frustrated at the airport, especially when you see long lines at the check-in, security, dealing with airplane delays, cancellations, and even more so, after all of these, your baggage doesn't make it. So then you go and just get angry. You go to social media, you talk about how the service wasn't great and how frustrated you are. And it is very frustrating. And one of the things was interesting because according to Forbes, the most frequently words in those complaints were bags, delayed, luggage, security, and cancelled. So many flights are delayed due to baggage handling procedures. Passengers do not board and the baggage has to be unloaded. So when the airline automates some of these processes, it reduces in 70%, i.e. offloading a baggage from 20 minutes to 5 minutes. So there is, yes, it is very emotional subject. Airports and airlines are working together. Automation is going to deliver some of this relief in terms of automating and creating a better passenger experience. So let's see what is happening in the next slide. So you can see here in that image, there is no sound. Look at that. This video shows and brings a whole new meaning to an autonomous and motorized bag. Jokes apart, I was just looking and I did a Google to see what is happening from bags and how they are moving and motorized. And yes, there are motorized bags. I think what is going to happen in maybe in the future is that baggage will go and be self-loaded. But until that happens, bags still need to be monitored, they still need to be tracked, and to avoid mishandling, so they need to make sure that they are where they are. So regardless of this self-loading, motorized or not motorized, as I said, bags need to be monitored, they need to be tracked, and there will always be bags that will be mishandled for a multitude of reasons. But bags, when it goes to the wrong flight and is left behind or you get lost, costs a lot of money to the airlines, as well as frustration to the passengers. So airlines, they don't leave your bags behind because they want to annoy us. but it does happen, and it does have a cost, not only from a reputation perspective, but it is a actual monetary cost for repatriation those bags when they don't arrive. So on average, the cost per mishandled bags, it's about $100, not to mention the impact, as I said, on the airline and airport reputation. So let's have a look at the next slide. So it's the stats for 2022, and when you get the presentation, so you will see there's a lot of the statistics in this particular slide, which is very, very busy with the content. But the essence is the stats for 2022 are not great from a mishandling perspective, because they were primarily driven by an expected high travel demand. As we all experienced, we were locked down in most of our countries, we're not allowed to travel. And then when the first opportunity came, when the opportunity started coming up with markets and countries being opened up their borders, that was basically 2022, we start traveling again. And it created an enormous surge in demand. But at the same time, there were not enough people, there were shortages. So it's that really, really created that impact on the number of cases of mishandled baggage. And interesting enough, the industry experienced 3 times more mishandled cases as a result of travel disruption that were caused by all of the shortage of staff, and pilots, crew, and ground crew. The good news is that airlines are looking to key technology solutions to build resilience into their operations and while automating the passenger experience. So it's not all that bad, but we were caught by surprise. 2022, a high travel demand, shortage of staff, resources, really impacted our travel experience. That resulted in this sort of, you're probably seeing in airports, we saw lots of baggage in a baggage hold. But good news is they are investing on technology. So let's move on to the next slide, which talks about the 2023 baggage IT insights. So SITA has published the baggage IT insights since 2007 and has become a benchmark for the industry. We'll dive into this year's findings and compare with the global numbers of baggage performance, and then see what are the things that the industry is doing from an airline perspective, from an airport perspective, and equally importantly, from a passenger perspective. So let's dive in to the baggage handling and then jump onto the next slide after the pink bag. So the year-on-year, the baggage mishandling rate, right? So the travel industry rebounded, and I said, and there was a notable increase in the mishandled cases of baggage. 2022, the rate of mishandled case almost doubled from the previous year to 7.6 bags per 1,000. And the reasons for that is because, as I mentioned, shortage, high peak demand, we were not prepared as an industry for that surge. So what happened is the industry realized that in order to address those challenges, we needed to shift focus to digitalize and automate some of those processes. Airports are adapting a more agile, more resilient business model that would allow them to swiftly adapt and scale their operations to handle this fluctuation traffic volume. If there is another, hopefully there isn't another COVID, but at least the resilience has been built in the operational model. And technology investments are going to deliver this greater automation and self-service as a top priority. Digitalization led to a massive drop in the mishandled rates between 2007 and 19, almost 70%. And the pandemic has only highlighted the need to further automate. As the industry continues to evolve, the digital technologies and innovations will be crucial to the smooth handling of baggage and also to enhance the travel experience of passengers. So let's go to the next slide. Again, very busy, lots of data here. But one important element that I would like to highlight is that although the number of mishandled cases almost doubled, as I mentioned earlier, to 7.6 bags per 1,000 passengers, the volume of mishandled bags at 26 million still represents 59.7% reduction from the 46.9 million mishandled in 2007. Therefore, an overall long-term decrease in baggage handling is happening. And yes, 2022 was a blip, but overall, the cases are decreasing. And as the industry continue to evolve and continue to invest, chances are it will continue to reduce those mishandled cases. Let's go to the next slide. As I said, the long-term baggage mishandled rate is reducing, and the decrease is largely attributed to improvement in baggage management through digitalization and automation. And between 2021 and 2022, the experience is anomaly and also suggests that we still need to do a lot of work to digitize the baggage management. And a significant reduction in this mishandling rate over the past decade and a half. It also demonstrates the industry's long-term commitment to improve baggage handling through continuous innovation, ensuring a more seamless travel experience for passengers. So as I said, it was a blip, but it also highlighted the need to continue automating. So as an industry, airports and airlines and technology providers, they will have to continue to work together to make sure that the automation is available. You can deal with fluctuations and you can minimize the mishandled cases. Because one thing that for me is very important that we all remember, technology and automation will not eradicate mishandling cases. There will always be cases, missed connections, weather conditions. So there will be factors that technology alone cannot address it, but it can improve the customer and the passenger experience through better information, through better management of that mishandling. And this is where it's going to be very critical. So automation is going to improve, but let's make no mistake that it will completely eradicate mishandling cases. Let's go to the next slide. So when we look at here, there are three cases of mishandling bags. Right? So we have the lost stolen bags at 7%. We have the damaged and pilfered bags at 13%, and then the delayed bags at 80%. So the principal case of mishandling is related to delayed baggage at 80%. And that it's really, it was interesting before we joined the call. So we're talking to some of our colleagues here. And, you know, when we go and start thinking about transfer process, the fact that you're going to try and move to connect to different flights, sometimes you miss the connection. The flight is delayed, so your baggage doesn't make it. So those are some of those causes for those mishandling. And to address some of these delayed bags, the industry is investing in real-time baggage status information, and it has become a priority for airlines. Currently, 57% of airlines provide their staff with mobile access to real-time baggage status information. And this figure is expected to increase significantly to 84% by 2025. And it's very important. It's very important because the airlines are now equipping their staff, their front end staff personnel that will deal with the angry, with the upset passenger. But sometimes having the right information, having the information about where the baggage is, the reasons why the bags were delayed or they missed the connection and why they didn't arrive with the passenger, it will help to minimize that sort of a distress that the passenger have at that particular moment. So it is very important to equip the passengers with real time, not the passengers, the staff, but also the passenger of real time situation. I travel with one particular airline, and through the app, I know that the status of my bags, whether the baggage is on the plane, whether it is transferring with me, and whether the baggage has been delivered to the baggage carousel for baggage replaying. So information, be it on the hands of the staff or the passengers, is going to be very, very important to make that experience a lot better, because those cases of mishandle, it will happen in this particular case, 80% of the baggage were delayed, but having that information would help the passenger understand, to have a better understanding of what happened, but equally for the airline staff to be able to deal with that situation with data. Let's go to the next slide. And some of the reasons here for the delayed bags. Transfer bags will continue to be one of the major cases of mishandling at 42%. The failure to load the baggage account for 18% of all mishandled bags, represent a 3% decrease from the previous year. Ticketing errors, i.e. tagging the bags, baggage switches, security-related incidents, and other miscellaneous factors have also decreased by 3%, accounting for 50% of all mishandled cases. Delayed bags due to reasons such as airport, customs, weather, or space weight restrictions remain consistent with the previous year at 8%. In terms of specific reasons for delayed bags, loading errors more than doubled compared to the previous year, accounting for 9% of all delayed bags in 2022. An increase that most likely stemmed from operation strains on baggage systems. On the other hand, arrival mishandling and tagging errors saw a 1% decrease compared to 2021. These trends and mishandling incidents highlights the need for continued investment in technology and infrastructure to ensure the efficient and accurate handling of baggage, ultimately improving customer satisfaction and overall reputation of airlines. So these are some of the multitude of reasons. Again, if you are an airport operator or if you're an airline, it is important to start understanding where the single point of failure is going to be for that mishandled cases. And through some of the technology that exists today, start generate some reports so they can do a proper sort of root cause analysis of what is happening to your baggage handling operations at your sort of a main hub. So let's go to the next slide, please. And part of this, the report is to compare what happens from a global perspective and the difference between rates for domestic and international flights. And according to the survey, this is very interesting, the likelihood of mishandling bags on international routes is about 8 times higher compared to domestic routes. And that is not a surprise, because if you think about it, sometimes, one of the cases for me is because I'm now living in Atlanta, for example, when I travel and have connections in the US, for example, going to the other place other than Atlanta, sometimes you have to pick up your bag, and you have to recheck in, you have to drop your bag. Sometimes it happens before immigration in some of the cases. So that means if you're stuck in immigration, you're going to miss the flight. So you're going to drop the bag, or sometimes the bag is going to be transferred, but you didn't make it. So there's quite some of the cases of this sort of a mishandle between domestic and international flights. And again, this is where technology can help. So tracking the baggage, where the baggage is at all times. And I think this is very, very important from a baggage handling perspective. So if you run a transfer international flights, international to international, international domestic, for example, domestic international. These are some of the things that chances are is going to happen. Therefore, what can you do to prevent? What is that you could do from an airport, from an airline perspective, in terms of analytics, in terms of advanced analytics that would help you to build maybe a predictor model in terms of where your baggage will probably be delayed. So let's go into the next slides. So we're going to go and see from a passenger perspective. So if it could please move to the next slide. So we're seeing that since 2007, when we start sort of doing this report, we've seen progressively a reduction in mishandled cases. And this is a result of automation of the baggage process, right? So what is interesting here is that in the wake of the pandemic, the airports and airlines, they clearly understood the importance of self-service technology, an area where they continue to ramp up investments, baggage handling, and has become a very key focus areas of this initiative. You're going to drop your own bags. You need to make sure that the baggage handling system can accommodate, can actually route that baggage to where it should be. This means passengers can drop their luggage without the need of assistance from an airport staff. They will save time for the passengers. They will streamline the bag drop processes. And this is really going to be an important part in terms of automating this process where it's no longer assisted. So you are tagging your own bags. And then this is some of the cases that, sometimes if your bag tag is not properly attached, so it probably will fall off, but therefore not be able to find its right destination. So all of this compounded when you start adding some of these elements of the self-service part of it. But automation exists. With an automated baggage handling system, it will be able to find where that baggage has come from and what happened to that bag in case of rerouting it. So automation is very, very important, especially when it comes to that, the implementation of the automated unassisted bag drop. So moving on to the next slide from an airline perspective. We're seeing the increase is in mishandling. It is accelerating the digitalization and automation of the baggage management. It is worth to reinforce and restating that mishandled bags are predominantly associated with international travel and transfers, which account for nearly half of the cases. And interestingly, airports equipped with an advanced baggage IT system, such as automated baggage handling and baggage reconciliation, were not the cause of the issues, strengthening that where there is automation and technology, implicitly, there are fewer mishandling incidents. And it was widely acknowledged that the impact that it had on staff shortage and recruitment challenges, because it really affected our sector. It causes challenges, and hence it's automating some of those processes so you can deal with the lack of shortage, because we're now, in some cases, we're enabling the passengers to do some of those processes, but also with automated baggage handling systems, they will do the sortation, and hopefully in the near future, we'll have robots that would actually do the loading, which there are some cases already done. But the industry is now actively seeking to accelerate the automation and digitalization of the baggage processes. And SITA as a company, we focused on assisting our customers to improve in these areas. One of the accomplishments that I would say is the automatic baggage reflighting, a service that is a unique solution in the market. that it addresses this global need. The service is fully integrated with World Tracer and bag message, ensuring that there is a communication with World Tracer and the baggage reconciliation systems. So what the system is going to do is it automatically, as the identifies that that particular bag didn't make that connection, it automatically retags using the same tag and is going to be rerouted to a new flight. So that is a really sort of advance in terms of having the baggage to be processed by someone else. Yet the baggage has been identified that, okay, it's going to be a misconnect, then it's automatically rerouted to the next flight, hence speeding up the whole recovery process and uniting the baggage with the customer as quickly as possible. So let's look at the next slide, where we'll be talking a little bit more about this digital automation of the baggage reflight. And this is a Lufthansa case. So SITA and Lufthansa, we partnered to explore ways to automate this baggage reflight operation and improve the passenger experience, and while reducing the cost of mishandling. So the mishandle, because it is very important to remind again, the mishandle cases is a significant pain point for the aviation industry. It costs billions of dollars per year, and it's compounded by the challenge of staff shortages. They make the automation of the reflight process truly essential. Ultimately, the baggage reflight solution, it ensures that when a baggage is mishandled, it reunites with its owner in a simple and fast fashion. It meets the critical industry baggage management requirement to tackle the mounds of mishandled baggage at travel reach as pre-pandemic levels. So basically, it's to reuniting it, it's to enable that sort of handling the case as quickly as possible. And it is something that it is available and is in partnership that Lufthansa that we digitize this manual process. This is an example of the collaboration, the co-innovation that SITA does, and we welcome this co-innovation with our customers, airports and airlines, to identify some of the pain points and together find a solution from a technology perspective. Let's go to the next slide. So here is it's looking at from an industry perspective, from an industry body, from IATA, in terms of automation and the digitalization of some of those processes that are key to the success of baggage handling. Technology is key. Knowledge is going to be an important part of solving the challenges of baggage handling or mishandling. And digitalization and automation, they represent a significant opportunity to enhance the operational performance and efficiency of an airline, also from an airport. And is to leverage that power of technology and cooperation across the value chain, across the governments, that is critical. And here is where IATA also is committed to that facilitation. And it is through this collaboration with all the different stakeholders and the baggage working groups that they have, they provide a platform for collaboration amongst all the stakeholders to address their common baggage challenges and also to develop standards that is our global best practices and innovation with the ultimate goal of enhanced overall passenger experience. Any opportunity from my perspective is that if you have an opportunity to collaborate, please do so. It's going to help you. Yes, it takes a bit time and effort and commitment from your side, be an airport, an airline, but ultimately you're also finding a solution that is going to be critical to your business. Industry bodies like IATA and also ACI, they have these working groups to really facilitate, to enable that collaboration, to find technological solutions and automation that is going to be important for the industry, is not going to benefit just one airport or one airline, but is going to benefit the entire industry. Creation of standards, and I think this is very, very important, especially when you start, especially from an airline perspective, when you fly to different countries. The standardization of processes and technology is going to be very important because you're operating under the same platform. It makes the seamless transition and transfer of baggage, exchange of information a lot more efficient. So now let's go to the next slide, which is going to be looking at from an airport perspective. And you probably noticed that throughout this presentation, from the moment I start talking about, the baggage handling, the baggage mishandled cases, it's all about how technology can help automating some of the processes, automating baggage handling. And interesting enough, because when the industry now talks about baggage handling or mishandled cases of baggage, it's not just about the bags, but it's also about the passenger experience, is how you feel as a traveler. So, and how you enjoy or not that particular travel because of the cases of mishandling. So here it's, why is the common theme is automation, is improving the customer experience, is improving baggage management. So what I like to do is just to quote, I will read a quote from ACI about what they do from baggage operations. The good news is that ACI, we see many of our airport members accelerating their digitalization initiatives, particularly for baggage operations. The objectives of digitalization and automation of baggage processes is to minimize costs while optimizing revenue, productivity, and restoring customer confidence. Additionally, the data gathered through these efforts will help airports to make informed decisions, thus ensuring continued business success. Baggage handling has always been one of the more stressful parts of a passenger journey, from start to finish. So the automation of these processes and using smarter software are vital to reducing mishandled baggage. At ACI, we're actively working with airport members to ensure the digitalization of baggage operations to remain competitive and to meet the needs of passengers remains a top priority. By leveraging technology, data-driven practices, airports can optimize baggage handling, minimize costs, enhance the overall passenger experience. So this is really important because as an industry body, ACI, and I'm glad ACI Latin America is hosting this particular webinar, where it's facilitating that collaboration, kindly inviting us to be part of these and talk about the IT insights from a baggage perspective, but also enabling to create this collaborative environment where there are best practices and really truly identify that the integrating the baggage handling applications to combine tracking, business intelligence, and analytics are beneficial. And also one of the key points of that particular slide is that it's about data. It's about making decisions on fact. So you understand what is happening with the bags, you'll be able to do some analytics, understand and start building a predictable model in terms of where potentials, where the single point of failures is going to be from a baggage operations perspective. So data-centric operations, automation is really, really very important. And I'm really, really very, very happy to be part of this collaboration with ACI, all its members, to really define what are the solutions and the best practices to minimize the impact of the baggage mishandled cases and also to improve the customer experience. So let's go to the next slide and talk a little bit about the importance of automation. So we're going to jump into the next slide. And then here is what we would like to do is to recap the importance of technology that will resolve the pain points and improve not only baggage, but entire passenger journey by adopting biometrics and self-service. Because all of these processes will be connected, and we'll be seeing where we talk about, the entire journey of the passenger experience. Because what is I would like us to remember is that the passenger experience is not an isolated set of transactions. It's not just about dropping the bag. It's not about checking in, going through security, going through immigration, then get on the plane and pick up the bag. The passenger experience is the whole end-to-end, and it's not just isolated transaction. So when we talk about, if we cannot deliver the ultimate travel experience, that including making sure that the baggage arrives with the customers at that destination, we are not delivering that optimal or the best experience that it could be delivered to our customer. So, and the other thing is self-services there, biometrics, so we can enhance in terms of the identity, sort of a matching the passenger with the travel. And there was some research that was done in terms of, basically looking at having your biometric identity embedded on your suitcase. Challenge is going to be how that can actually be done. How can the baggage then be handled by the baggage handling system? How would the baggage handler would know that this particular bag is a first-class baggage or is economy? It has a priority or no priority. So there are some elements of the process that needs to be resolved, but I would say it's not going to be difficult. Technology is evolving so rapidly, and these are some of the areas that needs to be tested, needs to be basically tested, approved, as a proof of concept. But what the key point here that I really would like to remember, and that has been part of what we've been saying in this presentation, is that baggage handling, it is a challenge, it is subjective, it is something that our customers get frustrated, get angry, get very upset about it. The industry is doing their best. They are investing on technology. They're investing in automating those processes. They're looking into minimize all these mishandled cases. They're also looking at from an overall passenger experience. IATA is looking into it. ACI is looking into it. How can you optimize that baggage processes, the baggage management, reduce the cost of operations, minimize the cost in terms of mishandled cases? Because as I said in part of the presentation, mishandled cases cost money, but not only that, it has a reputational impact. So it is very important that we look at that experience across, and when we start thinking about technology, how can these new technologies that are being added, been introduced by airlines and airports, how can they make that experience a lot better, more pleasant for the passenger, but also addressing some of the operational requirements to make sure that bags arrive at the destination. So now to the next slide. And here is, we're coming to an end of the presentation, is what story do you want your passengers to tell? And I've been reflecting on this, and what would I want to say? I put myself as a traveler, what would I want to tell? Well, I think the 2 points, as a traveler, I really want to, one thing that worries me most is, will my bag be there? I traveled a couple of days ago, and then my biggest worry is, will my suitcase arrive? Because I have a meeting, I need to have my suit and things like that. So it's very, very tense. And traveling already creates a lot of that. So for me, it was, will my baggage make it? And through the app, yes, I could monitor, And I was relieved to see that, yes, my baggage made a transfer because my flight got delayed in departing. So I was worried about that. So check. So baggage arrived, bag is on the plane, baggage is delivered. Fantastic experience. That is the kind of story that I want to tell. But also, I think it's important is that technology and automation processes, they will not eradicate mishandling of baggage. It will support the reduction of these cases, and they will provide a much better customer experience. But for me, the story that I want to tell is to say, I had a fantastic experience. And for that, I mean, my travel was okay, but my baggage made it. And I think that is a story that I would like to tell. And I think that's the story that we all want to tell. And we all want to hear from our customers, from our airline passengers and our passengers that come through our airports. So we're coming to an end of the presentation. And I'd just like to quickly recap again that mishandling is 2022, the cases were higher. The reasons for that were because of the high travel demand, shortage of staff. It caught everybody, caught the industry by surprise because we're not expecting the peak to be so quick and so fast. We're not prepared. There were not people. We had shortage of staff that could do that job. Pilots, cabin crew, ground staff. So that basically created a challenge. The positive thing is overall, the cases of mishandle are improving. And the other important point and very positive point is that airlines and airports are investing in technology to automate, to reduce some of those mishandled cases. And I think this is where we will see a lot more of these innovation and investment to continue the improvement of the baggage processes and baggage handling so that we can continuously reduce the number of cases of mishandling. So with that, I'll basically end my presentation. So we have, I think, some Q&A now, and I'll pass it on to Carla, who will be monitoring those. Once again, thank you.
Thank you, Carlos, for all this valuable information you have given us today. And just to remind you all participants that you could send us your questions to info@aci-lac.io. And we will start with the Q&A. We have one here that says, why the number of baggage mishandling increased compared to previous years?
Right. So, yeah, it's the reasons for the increase is because we had this growth in passenger volume. There was shortage of people, the employees in this case, and overcrowding. Suddenly, our airports were overcrowded, and but the interesting point that is worth mentioning is that the spike in these cases of mishandling comes after more than a decade of decline. So progressively, up until 2022, the industry was reducing the number of mishandled cases. And 2022, the delayed baggage accounted for about 80% of all lost bags. And some of the lost and stolen accounted for about 7%. And then some of the damage and pilfered about 13%. But like I said, much to the factors, but mostly because it's, I would say, is a byproduct of what happened because of the pandemic. But an important point to mention is that the numbers were decreasing for more than a decade.
Okay, we have another one here. What airports are doing to reduce the mishandling cases?
I would like to put this one in to respond to this one based on what SITA does, collaborating with airports and airlines. One of the things that we've been doing is we're working directly with airlines and airports to solve this critical point of baggage journey, and through deployment of intelligent automation, tracking, and digital platforms. And we understand that digitalization is a key point here, because it's through digitalization automation, we'll be addressing some of those challenges. And in response to this growth in lost luggage, SITA developed World Tracer Auto Reflight System, which I mentioned in the presentation. And this solution, it automatically identifies bags that are unlikely to make it to the connecting flight. And then the technology itself, it plans and reroutes the bags onto the next available flight, using the existing bag tag and keeping the passenger informed. So there are pockets of technology and innovation that is being used. So in some of the cases that is being pushed even pre-pandemic, the IATA resolution 753 that talked about monitoring and tracking the baggage journey throughout. And that's why I mentioned that one of the airlines that I use, they adopted that. So I understand where the baggage is at all points of that journey as well. And I think these are some of the areas where we're seeing automating the reconciliation, the baggage reconciliation part of it. There were some technologies that can be done. You can still use a bingo card. Bingo card is what the airlines, they do is every bag tag, they take a stub of the bag and put it on a card, so they can actually start monitoring which baggage come in, where the baggage is going to go, and they put it on a piece of paper. And then towards the end, a semi-automated process will be to scan all those bag tags. So then there is, I would say, a digital record of all the bags that were put in the container. They're doing it. This is one of the elements of that reconciliation that is, according to ICAO, it's every airline will have to do a baggage reconciliation, but it can be manual reconciliation and doesn't necessarily have to be an automated one. But the automation of this process with a baggage reconciliation system, for example, it can reduce the delays of air flights. Because you're probably seeing, you've been on a plane where the captain sometimes will tell, well, we are delaying departing because we need to offload the baggage because the passenger didn't make it. This is part of the regulation where all the bags have to be with a passenger, and accompanied bags cannot be traveled alone unless exceptions like when it's mishandled. So it is very important. So if you're not on the plane, and your baggage is, but you're not going to make it, your baggage will be removed. So you and the passenger, you as a passenger and the baggage will have to be on the same plane. So these are some of the things that help to mishandle those cases. Also transfer points, where it's going to be very critical, primarily for airports that deal with a lot of transfer, both international transfers as well as domestic transfers. So hubs, larger hubs, will benefit from automating a lot of those processes, especially in transfer areas. Maybe not relevant here, for example, but in Hong Kong, which used to be, well, still is a big transfer hub, they automated all the processes. In fact, the government even paid, or the airport actually paid to supply the RFID bag tags. So those, with this technology, the airport can track the baggage throughout the airport in the different stages of the journey. But because it was very important, the airport decided to invest and then supply technology, even the bag tags. So,
okay. Go ahead.
No, that was it. Thank you.
Okay. You were more or less talking about that, but here we have another question that says, how can the efficient handling of baggage be enhanced at small airports with only one international route and a reduced budget?
It's very, very interesting because, and that's why I think it's the investment decision, probably from an automation, is really going to be critical. Working with your airline customers, for example, because they are the ones that are really going to benefit from that, sort of in terms of how they could process the baggage handling part of it. It's, I think, one of the areas that is the reconciliation, right? Because it is where the baggage is going to be made up. Make sure that you have a process, even if it's all manual process, make sure that the baggage that come out the chute, if you have a simple sort of a baggage handling system, if the baggage come out of the chute, what do you do with the bags, where the baggage is going to go, which particular flight. Having that rigor in how you handle that is going to be very important. It may be, like I said, a manual process, but a critical point is going to be that segregation. Once you're checking in all the bags, right? So the bags come through the belt and they ended in one particular area, the makeup area. And here is where it's going to be critical to determine where the baggage is going to go and who does that segregation. It's very, very important. And we're seeing this working. I've seen some of the processes that have, for some of the flights, for example, they use a different color code. They put a piece of a plastic or cardboard with different colors. So the ground staff, the baggage handling staff, they know that, okay, a specific color is for a particular destination. That helps them to identify. If it's an international, you can do that with one specific color, for example. But it is, again, you can mix manual processes, but you have to make sure that you do have a tight process there, and don't allow too much deviation from that process. And then the other thing is, and yes, you can automate some of these. You can bring a certain level of automation. You can still do a mix of manual and automated. So I think is, a combination, and really what is going to be very important is to understand what is your real true pain point from baggage handling or mishandling cases that you have. And that's some of the work that your technology provider should help you with. They could work with you and do a proper assessment, understand what is the pinch point, what is really causing some of those issues that you have, and then come up with a solution that is suited to your airport, to your sort of automation roadmap. That will be my suggestion. Don't automate everything. Really have a critical thinking of, okay, where can I do? What do I need to automate first, and why am I automating it? Because I'm not saying the automation is going to be the solution. It is a solution, but not every airport are in the same sort of a technology, sort of a path. And I think that is going to be very important for you.
Okay, another one we have here is, what is the role of technology in baggage management?
Right. So I spoke a lot of technology, and it was very much about technology, but in a very simple terms, technology can improve baggage mishandled rates in about 50%. On average, the cost of the baggage, the mishandled bag, is about $100. Not to mention, as I said, the impact on the airlines and the airport reputation. So the technology is enabling the airlines and airports to better manage the handling of those bags, reducing the incidents and the mishandled cases. So that was going to lead into a customer satisfaction, improved sort of brand image. So one of the things that we see is, for me, part of that sort of a role of technology is enabling your staff, the front end people, because they are the ones that really will have to suffer. They are the ones that will have to deal with a very angry, very upset customer. Give them the real-time information about what is happening, where is the bag, why is not it has not arrived, what are some of the issues. That, to me, is going to be very important in terms of the role of technology. Communication, enabling the customer also to access to have that information, because when they know that, okay, well, you know what, my baggage didn't make it, I'm very upset. Yes, you are probably upset, but you know why. And I think the challenge of a lot of our passengers is not knowing what happened. I was an airline station manager, so I know the challenges of that. And to me, I think it always worked when I was more transparent with our customers as to why why there are delays, why some of the I would say the challenges that we have in terms of delivering what the customer expects. Being transparent, having that information to be able to tell them, it comes a long way in terms of creating a good sort of a rapport with a customer. So this is where I see technology. Technology is certainly going to improve your operational processes, but it can also deliver that customer satisfaction. So that is to me where I see the role of technology, because technology can play a different role in different stages of the baggage. You know, from the moment you drop the bag, the moment the baggage is going to be reconciled, the message that is transferred to the baggage handling system to do the sortation, i.e. to say that, okay, this is an international, this is domestic, this is flight A, this is for flight B. So that all the sortation, the message that goes with that. Then down, when you start doing the reconciliation, putting the bags in the right containers, making sure that the bags get to the right aircraft, loaded onto the right plane, and then they are delivered at the final destination. And in case of mishandling, how do you use technology to start tracing your bags? You know, because if your baggage doesn't make it, hopefully it's somewhere, not hopefully, it will be somewhere. And then that is the case where you see where the baggage is and creating a report so they can start doing the tracing, and then the repatriation and uniting the passenger and the bags. So technology plays a role in all these different stages of the baggage journey. Just before, because we're coming to an end, I believe, Carla, the one before last question about this smaller airport. If you are interested in terms of how you could deal with those challenges, you can drop me an email. You can write through the question, and I can exchange emails with you and help you to find the right solution to your problems in terms of automation, regardless the size of the airport that you have. But feel free to drop me a note as well. I'll be more than welcome to assist you. So thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. We want to thank you all for being here and to participate in our webinars. If you have any other questions, you could please send it to us, and we will follow up with Carlos and give you the response as quick as we can. Remember, the email is info@ACI-LAC.io, and thank you again, and have a great day. See you in the next webinar.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.